Inspector Moore is with his dad at the hospital. Say some more about that in the announcements. But we're going to start with the invocation. We have Rick Walters from Methodist Church here.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we're so thankful for gatherings like this that are an outstanding demonstration of the freedoms of our country and the importance of local government. And God, we ask that you would be here during this meeting, that your spirit would be evident, that you would guide those who lead the city of Blanco, that you would guide and protect those who protect the city of Blanco, and that you would bless and keep all of those who come tonight to do business before the city council. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. Okay, announcements. So I think everybody knows Dennis Moore. He's one of the pillars of the community. Is of course son's on city council. He was in the, if you know where the buggy barn is, the Buffalo little pen. He went in there, I guess, to check a meter, and got attacked by the buffalo and gored pretty bad. He's in the hospital. The police held a pack on his chest so his lung wouldn't be inflamed. Pretty bad. But he was in good spirits. Amanda climbed in after him and fell and got hurt. She went to the hospital the other direction. So please keep the Moore family in your prayers. I'm sure there's a Buffalo Burger cookout coming up. Burn ban's been lifted temporarily, I guess, but not a good day to burn, so just be careful. And still stage 4 water restrictions. Then we'll move on to public comments. All right. Okay. First up, Mr. Welch.
I'm Kenneth Welch, a county resident that calls Blanco my home, but not a resident of the city. Items number 4, 5, and 7 on tonight's agenda pose issues that warrant further discussion before approval. Item 4 considers changes to the scope and cost of the previously approved project for the sewer line extension north along 281. I believe you've already authorized funding of this project, and the staff statement indicates that the CO previously approved will be adequate to fund the proposed changes. However, it's unclear to me what changes to the scope are being recommended. Mention is made regarding the need for the engineering design and surveying for the project. Surveying must always be done early in every city construction project. If the exact location of the sewer line has not yet been determined through a survey, then property ownership lines and therefore design factors and costs cannot be adequately forecast. I believe you've already approved the project, and since funding is apparently available, I'm at a loss as to why this issue is again being discussed. However, if there is concern and the need for further discussion, then provide the details that present the financial and possible construction risks before taking the next step. Item number 5 proposes action on a resolution supporting implementation of AI for the administration of this Blanco's business functions. I believe AI offers a great opportunity for Blanco, but the city does not even have a policy of how it would be used. This proposal jumps to an implementation phase and costs that are premature. Table this item until a thoughtful policy can be presented for approval. Item 7 proposes more changes to the city's committee structure. Once again, changes to the streetscape committee and now the historical commission are being proposed. These constant changes to the roles, responsibilities, and membership of all the various city committees is causing confusion amongst all committee participants. The city council needs to review the roles, processes, makeup, leadership, and hierarchy associated with all the committees and relent from continually changing the rules that are being applied based on the whims of one or more members of this body. Our current mayor and the city council are effectively a lame duck body. All three of these items should be tabled to allow the new administration to address them in an orderly manner. This body should not impose new rules or obligations for the future city council to clean up. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Bill Depew.
Well, looks like I'm pretty much repeating what he's had to say, but I'll go through it again real quickly for the audience. Everybody has a copy of this at home. Item number 4, to approve more money for the sewer line extensions north along 281 to the city limits. The money is available because the city council approved the CO for more money than it needed at taxpayers' expense, and there's still money left over. That is an issue for later. The problem I see with this project has to do with the surveys of the property lines and easements. There are none. It is commonly known that the city cannot accurately say where the city property ends and private property begins. As evidence of this, CMAQ has made it clear that if the bond initiative passes, thorough and accurate surveys must be done to correct the anomalies that exist before any project can be started. The city completed its project on 14th Street, but not without legal issues because of inaccurate surveys. The city should not allow 281 project to proceed until a citywide survey is completed as part of the bond package. Anything else is just asking for trouble. Do not approve the additional costs that will move this project forward until the citywide surveys are completed. You will know in just a few weeks if those surveys will be funded. This item can wait a little longer. New business item 5, authorization of Blanco AI system. Artificial intelligence is a tool that is growing in popularity and someday may be a valuable asset to our city. It is still in its early stages of development. Blanco should not be paying taxpayer dollars to be a guinea pig in this experiment. The immense amount of extra work demanded of our already overworked city staff, departments, and committees to upload all the needed, correct, and accurate information into this system to make it work effectively will be enormous. The city suffers from a perceived lack of transparency and trust in our government. Does the council believe that that image will improve when it adds a disclaimer prominently displayed on its website that states, and I quote, Blanco AI is an automated assistant trained on city-approved public information. While helpful, it may occasionally generate incomplete or incorrect answers. Please consult official sources or contact city staff for confirmation. What this means is that you cannot trust what AI tells you and have to have everything validated by a human at City Hall. Do not rush into this experiment. Do not burden the next administration with this headache. The day may come when Blanco can adopt AI with confidence. That day has not yet arrived. New business item 7, resolution on administration and membership of certain commissions and committees of the city.
Thank you, sir.
This is another attempt. Am I over?
Yep.
Well, good. But y'all have all this in front of you, so you'll be able to read that when the item comes up. Thank you very much.
Ms. Retta Martin. Okay.
I'll make up here about 3 things, so I get 9 minutes. My very first love after I got out of the working with the state comptroller's office and I became a city council person was Keep Blanco Beautiful. That was my very first project and my very first love. And I've got the shirt, 10-year-old shirt on tonight for our anniversary because it's my favorite. But this was Saturday, 25th trash off day for Saturday. And I hope everybody got it in your trash in. If not, there's another one in the county at the end of the month. Okay. That's it. Well, no, it's not. There's another thing. We have been advised of a very, very good thing that's happened to Keep Blanco Beautiful from Keep Texas Beautiful, but I can't share it. It's gonna be announced tomorrow. It won't get in our paper tomorrow, so if you want to call me, I can tell you tomorrow once that they get it to the right people. But it's something that we are so proud of. You have no idea. Okay, the other thing is streetscape. And I'm here about agenda 7. Once again, it's been, somebody wants to get their hands on it. Streetscape is not a historic preservation plan. It is an ad hoc committee established by resolution on January 1, 2010, and we are better now than ever before. We had a meeting last Monday night, not that yesterday, but last Monday night, and we are moving. Everything is so good. I can't even tell y'all how good it is at this point. And so there are 3 parts of streetscape: the city of Blanco, and KBB, and streetscape. Those are the 3 parts of streetscape. And 2010, KBB donated 5,000. In 2020, we donated 6,000. The city of Blanco in 2020 donated 7,000. The HBC didn't donate anything. Okay. We are now the BHPC story. I like that when this happened to in 2004, when we really strengthened our historic preservation action plan, the Texas Historic Commission and put in, they came to see if we had enough stuff for them to put millions of dollars into our town to help us preserve. They decided we did have enough stuff to put that in, and we started programs at that time. I need
A little more.
but we started programs in 2004 with the Visionary and Preservation Program. Josh went around looking at it, and Candy and I are the only ones that know how hard we work to get this program in and to get it approved by it. And that's when the comprehensive master plan started, which is going to be updated. We applied for the VIP, we got that. Let's see the plan. I guess Bobby will give a report on the plan tonight. I gave y'all, one of the things we had to do, we had to become a certified local government to be able to be approved for this visionary and preservation. So I laid y'all the contract for the certified local government. That's the updated one. The first one is by Jim Roderick, and the second one is signed by Holman. So often, I guess they ask for an update, but that is the agreement between the city of Blanco and what we were supposed to do. It's the certified, become a certified local government. It's our agreement to do that. So all of this is all the chair, and we have a wonderful new chairperson, Allie, and she is smart and she is aggressive, and I love her to death. I'm the one that found her and asked her to come. She has a big chance we became really a strong commission, but in the last few years, it's kind of gone down, but Allie has a chance now to concentrate on the historic commission and help all the other commissioners get everything that we have planned to do done.
Thank you, Retta. All right, Gary Courier.
I would like to second Retta's comments about Allie Frankie and her role as the chairperson of the Historic Commission. She has done an excellent job. I was the former chair, but she didn't attend the meeting which I was elected. If she had, she would have been elected because she's much more qualified and has done a great job, and we're all proud of her. The item on the agenda dealing with the setting the agenda for the Historic Preservation Commission is a result of past experience that she's had, that I had, and previous commissioners had, in a dispute with the Historic Preservation Officer as to who actually sets the agenda for the council. And we believe that it would be more efficient if the chairperson of the commission sets the agenda based upon input by other commissioners and the HPO, as to what items that they would like to see on the agenda. I think the city secretary and the city administrator were both agree that when the chair of the commission sets the agenda, they are bothered less often by the agenda process. So we hope that you make the ordinance to set forth that it's clear that the commissioner, the chair of the commission sets the agenda. The dispute arises because in a lot of other cities that have a HPO, the HPO sets the agenda, but the HPO in those cities is a paid professional, while we have sort of all volunteer staff. There's no law that prevents the chair setting the agenda. And the only concern that Texas Historic Commission expresses is to make sure that there's no communication between the commission and anyone that has an application for a certificate of occupancy or certificate of appropriateness. That when they want to be on the agenda, they should address their request through the HPO, not directly to the commission. So thank you for your consideration.
All right. That concludes the public comments. There are 2 public hearings on the agenda, but nobody's signed up, so we'll open and close those. Move on to the regular meeting, starting with the presentation from Infomark. Damon, you're up.
Well, as many of y'all know, some things are changing in my personal life, so I'm going to have to move on closer to family in the Houston area. I had initially planned to deliver a presentation, but instead I'm going to choose to share a brief farewell, and just bear with me for a few moments as I read through this. As I transition to Houston, I understand there are a lot of concerns regarding Infomark. I want to address these concerns and put them to rest. Over the past 3 years, I've worked tirelessly to build a strong relationship in this wonderful town. While I may not always be on site, I will remain available and committed to this project, which I consider my baby. It's more important to me that the next person continues the work and improvements we have made. We aim to ensure that the successor is not only a good fit for Infomark, but more importantly, the city of Blanco. Since I took over, we've established some solid foundations, and I'd like to highlight a few of these achievements. Implementing these crucial needs has brought much needed attention to some underlying issues within public works. These foundations serve as a succession plan that will help the next person achieve continued success. One of the most significant achievements during my tenure was the implementation of an operation blueprint. This serves as a comprehensive guide for efficiently managing our facilities. Think of it as an SOP on steroids. Before this, our facilities were managed mainly based on institutional knowledge. And while this is valuable, it is very inconsistent. The blueprint has created a more streamlined, effective way of operating and ensuring that future leadership has a solid foundation to build on. We created an industrial pretreatment program, which has successfully identified key industrial users that are major contributors to the phosphorus loading at the wastewater treatment plant. This critical data has empowered the city to take informed actions, holding these industrial users more accountable for their impact on the system. As the city's ability to manage resources more effectively, this benefits the community, the river, and the overall health of the wastewater infrastructure. I'm also proud of the work we did in modernizing our maintenance tracking. We average 100 work orders a month, and the CMMS program is a game changer, reducing breakdowns and ensuring that the city's equipment is properly maintained. This proactive approach has saved time and money, making our operations more efficient and cost-effective. In terms of chemical usage, we have achieved significant savings in reducing the use of alum during non-discharge periods. This simple adjustment has saved the city over $5,000 a month and reduced the frequency of sludge removal from monthly to quarterly. These changes are not only cost-effective, but also environmentally responsive, and it's been great to see how much of an impact we have made. Another area of improvement has been our sampling processes. By bringing key analysis like COD, phosphorus, and ammonia in-house, we've eliminated delays and inefficiencies caused by outsourcing. This shift has given us greater control over our processes and reduced costs, all while improving our ability to monitor and manage the system and facility. Additionally, setting up systems like Hawk Winds has given us real-time data for both the engineers and residents, cutting down on man-hours spent compiling information. This move has not only improved efficiency, but also helped us rebuild relationships with environmental groups who now trust the data that we provide regarding the impact on the river. It also played a key role in negotiating an agreement between Texas Water and the city of Blanco. Another change has been the shift in communication. By maintaining an open, proactive lines of communication with the city administrator and council, we've been able to identify potential issues early and prevent costly penalties. Many of y'all can remember the $80,000 enforcement fine for failing to renew the surface water treatment plant discharge permit, which was then turned into a supplemental environmental project. This has been a major step forward in ensuring the city operates smoothly and efficiently. Finally, the data we've collected over the past 3 years has been invaluable. From tracking water and sewer line locations to providing information for capital improvement needs, we've provided the city with accurate, up-to-date information that has transformed the operational efficiency. This is a far cry from the minimal records that existed before we stepped in, and I'm proud of how far we've came. It's been a true honor to lead the department and work alongside such a dedicated group of professionals. As I move on to my new role, I want to express my deepest gratitude to each of you for your support, collaboration, and dedication to making this city a better place. I am confident that the work we've done together will continue to benefit the community long after I've transitioned, and I look forward to seeing the continued growth and success of this great city. Thank you.
Damon, you've done a fantastic job. You've been a team player and you will be missed. Thank you. All right, next up, Jose, Finance Director, Monthly Financials.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Here's my report. Hope y'all are getting used to this. So I just want to look at financials, where we're at, where we're going. Excuse me. We're now halfway through this fiscal year. So if you look at financials, you'd be about 50% through revenues and expenditures. There's certain things that, of course, that are not. We've got our ad valorem. We're at 90%, which is really good. But the checks are getting smaller. So we collected most of the money already. So we hopefully will get to the 100% for the year, meet our budget. The check in April was quite small. It was about 14,000. So it's not going to be much bigger than that going on for the rest of the year. Again, we're going to look at just some of the things in general fund mostly because that's where we spend most of the money. Start out with the good things, the income. Just looking at miscellaneous income, we've got a couple of items in there. We've got Texas Workforce Commission refund, $9,500, and a workers' comp audit refund of $3,000. So that's above our budget for that line item. So that's good. Looking at some of the expenses, we're at about 85% for education and training, which is vital for us. It helps city administrator, it helps city secretary, our court clerk, and myself gain knowledge in our areas. We're about 64% outside services. Again, that outside services, like we talked last month, the miscellaneous, there's a lot of stuff in there. So let me break that down a little bit. Outside services includes legal fees, professional fees, consulting, appraisal district fees, and janitorial fees. So looking at it, each item doesn't really sound like it's going to be a lot, but combined, it's a lot of expense. Again, couple of months, I've been talking about our computer expense. We've upgraded our computer to allow more ability to do more things for utilities and our court clerk and for our accounting as well, providing better services, providing better reports. Talked a little bit last month about police expenses, uniforms, employment costs, a little bit higher than where they should be. Of course, we have hired another police officer, and we promoted one, but we've lost one. And I'm sure Police chief will talk about that in his report. For parks, again, we've talked about this, retaining wall project. And of course, enterprise fund, the water treatment plant, construction upgrade. The last thing I want to talk about is our audit. We got a call from, I think it was, Councilmember Moore, that he did an email from a Crow company. That is our auditor. Crow LLP is our audit company. So if you happen to receive an email for information from Crow, it's a valid email. So please, again, if you have questions, reach out to me. You can reach out to Lori. But they are our auditors. And I can say it's gotten pretty hectic. They're sending me lots and lots of requests. Just this afternoon, probably in the last hour, I received around 7 requests for information. So I'm trying to get the information back to them as quickly as possible to speed up the audit. Yeah, I reached out to them, told them that I would like to get the audit completed by the end of April. So they are being very responsive, sending me lots of stuff. So I plan on getting that out back to them as quickly as possible. That is my report.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Questions. I know we like to track the expenses going out and
Yes, sir.
everything, but noticed a few things. We have some revenue shortfalls in some various areas, and I was wondering, now that we're at that point that we're 6 months through the fiscal year, if we need to start possibly thinking about amending some of these items. And it's not a lot of huge items, but when you take the little items and start adding them up, that matter.
Absolutely.
Stuff like liquor license expectations from liquor license fees, like that. We expected $3,000 income over the course of the year, and we've made $60. We're at 2% of our expected income. Another thing is some of I think it was building permits and various things I was looking at in here. We've got some pretty significant revenue shortfalls. And I'm afraid that if we ignore that, even though we're looking good on our expenditures, our revenues aren't looking like they're
Right.
going to come up to the numbers.
No,
And
that's,
does it get to a point where we possibly need to start thinking about doing some budget amendments and rethinking some things?
we can definitely look at that.
Okay, because the
I
next thing
agree
is we
with
start
you
eating
that
up.
they're
contingency
small
funds.
items, but like I mentioned with some of the other, with the expenses, they're small. It looks like if you look at them individually, they're all small, but when you put them in total, it
They
can be
add up.
significant. Yeah. it
It
can
can
add
be.
up.
And I just worry about that we end up at the year that we have a significant enough revenue shortfall that all of a sudden we don't have the revenue we expected, and we're having trouble paying bills,
Yes.
or you eating up contingency funds and stuff like that.
And that's one thing that we look at that. Definitely look at contingency funds, make sure that we have that money in there and try not to tap into those kinds of funds. 'Cause we want to rely on our utility billing. We want to rely on sales tax revenue. So,
I can address the liquor.
Please keep
Yeah,
it,
so
please keep a close eye on it.
yes.
Ms. Cassidy said wants to address the liquor license thing.
I can address so the liquor license permits, they're on a month, they're broken out month by month. Everyone doesn't pay at the same time. So depending on when they signed up for their permit, some of the big breweries and stuff are like over the summer, I believe. So they probably haven't come in yet.
Okay.
But I have a spreadsheet. So it depends on when they signed up for their permit. It renews, annually. So each month we get different ones. So,
So it may not all come in early.
right, they don't all come in January.
Okay.
They're like, we have like 20 different TABC permits all over, and they all come in different months. So
And
a lot of them we get over the summer.
And the building permit is primarily a pass through. If we don't have the revenue, we don't have the
Right.
expense.
Right.
On the
Absolutely.
building permits, yeah. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty, Chief, you're up. Oh, did I? I'm sorry. I got out of order. I skipped Warren. I apologize. It's not intentional. I was marking off lines here and I skipped you. I apologize. I apologize. Not intentional. We'll see if it's intentional. Thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome.
Hey, Lauren.
Uh-huh. You're the very beginning. You were
And the agenda?
you were before finance.
Oh, so you actually.
You're like page 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you are.
I apologize, David.
Okay,
I got it.
thank you, Mayor, Council. So the Blanco Comprehensive Plan, we talked about it a few times. It's a $300,000 community grant awarded to the city of Blanco. We're going to talk about it a little bit more further on in the agenda on item 6. But I am happy to tell you that there'll be 3 public hearings. Comprehensive Master Plan will include minutes of 3 meetings, a visioning process. And with this, we also will get a professional planner that we utilize to help update the Uniform Development Code. So what does that mean? Uniform Development Code will rewrite the plan, put that within the process of the comp plan. Mayor Pro Tem and I have been working with both the GLO and the grant writer to get all that kind of worked out. We'll talk about that a little bit more in item 6. But we're very excited because I think it's going to be a great process. And we'll learn a lot more about the city and about what the residents and citizens here want. Also let you know that early voting starts Tuesday, April 22nd through Friday, April 26th. And then Monday and Tuesday, which is the 28th and 29th. So that's just a public announcement. And this was real quick today, so you could have skipped this. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Chief, you're up. This time for real. Yes.
Mayor, council, I am proud to say that our calls have came down this month. And I believe that's strongly due to the fact that, that we have more officers on the street. And as Jose pointed out, we did hire a new officer who the mayor will be swearing in tonight. However, we did lose one officer who went to the private sector for much more money. So we can't falter for that one.
Don't get any ideas. We need you.
But our calls have dropped, which is really good. Our accident rate's gone down. We've been spending more time out on the streets. I actually just completed my annual audit of the evidence room, and we were at 100%. Citations have gone up, traffic stops have gone up, and Mayor Moses or Councilman Moses, citations in school zones have gone up.
I noticed that. Thank you.
But more importantly, our traffic accidents have gone down. Our offense reports have dropped. However, we've taken in a lot more incident, which are usually minor or civil in nature. With that being said, we've also doubled our vehicle mileage. Well, almost doubled it. So I am down to, as you can see from the report, I am down to 4 patrol units. And I have 3 that need to be taken out of service permanently and replaced. So we'll have that coming up for this coming budget season. But with that being said, I'd like to move on to the mayor swearing my new officer in. I want to introduce Chris Green, or Charles Green. I'm sorry. I've been doing it all day. Aaron.
I can take the mirror up there.
I was actually ready to take a
picture.
Oh, I was gonna do that too.
Stay right here. Where do you want me? You sit right here. Repeat after me. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas,
I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, Charles Green, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of police officer of the city of Blanco in the state of Texas,
of the office of police officer of the city of Blanco in the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state.
the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Awesome.
Hey, Chief.
Stand up, get the podium out.
This is my buddy, Kelly.
All right.
And that's absolutely better.
Hey, congratulations. Yeah.
The signature officer, I think. That's actually Laura.
The official one at the office.
Okay, is this not the official one?
Yeah,
Whatever, okay.
this is a ceremonial one.
That's just- okay, thank you.
Thank
Good job.
you.
All righty, excellent. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, consent agenda, moving on. Approval of the minutes from March 11th. I looked over, I didn't see anything issue. Anybody have any issues with them?
I didn't see any. And no one else has any issues. I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Oh, second.
All in favor? All righty. Moving on. This is new business, number 1. This is a variance. This is 713 Chandler Street in Pittsburgh.
So Mayor, you can open the public hearing, close it, and then we'll go to new business.
We did the public hearing. I opened it, closed it.
We did it at
Yeah.
6:16.
See, we're both missing things tonight.
Okay, so this is property in El Dorado East
Oh, okay.
on Blanco Avenue and, on 65. I'll go ahead and show you what currently is there now. So on the front side, there's a building, that will remain and stay there. There's another building that's kind of not in great shape that they're gonna remove. And then there is a home, either it was probably a long-term rental at one time. I don't think there's anybody there now. They're gonna remove that. The applicant will explain a little, John Thompson will explain a little bit more about that. I think they're gonna keep that building, but they are gonna move it off the property. And what they're gonna look at doing, then we'll get to the variance and what the request is. What they are gonna look at doing is, which is why it's called Garage East, that they're gonna be putting in a garage. 2-story garage, that will be, so it will be 10-foot setback from the rear, and in the C1 district, it's a 35-foot setback, which is kind of unusual for most towns, but that's what we have. So the actual variance is a request of what we call dual building line variance, which would go from 35 to 10. If that building were ever to be removed, it would go back to 35. So that's the idea. And with that, there are 7, what you call casitas, that would actually qualify as a motel. Anything with 3 or more units is a motel in this town. So you have Garagista, which is a garage with classic cars, and 7 casitas, and an existing building. And John will talk about a little bit more what that would be, but my understanding is this commercial building that isn't utilized right now. So back, go ahead and show you. Oops. On this. So the only request really is a 35-foot building line. Notice that. Let's see, there's nothing else in there, but I guess there's not. And then I'll go ahead and tell you what the, and I will let you know the other issue. Oh, here we go. That's what I want to show you. 10-foot minimum front yard, 35 minimum backyard, and the rest are 10 and 10 on the sides. So I don't know if you noticed that this report was incomplete in the sense that we didn't have a recommendation here from Planning Commission. That's because P and Z met yesterday. This is one of the months where the first Monday and the second Tuesday are actually right next to each other. So I will go ahead and read to you what the recommendation is from P and Z. P and Z recommends approval of the variance to allow a 10-foot building line if the following conditions are met: the total impervious cover requirement, drainage plans approved at the time of permitting, and the water quality ordinance adhered to. All fire safety buildings and other applicable ordinances are met, and then the subdivision plat is approved and recorded. I already have the subdivision plat; it's just waiting the mayor's signature. So that item 3 is done now at this point. So that is the Planning Commission's recommendation. Do you have questions of staff or the engineer John's office?
I have one question. You mentioned the 35-foot setback is a little bit unusual for towns such as this. I suspect that came from Buta's UDC that we fashioned the original UDC back in mid-2000s. What do you think is typical for?
Well, so my experience, of course, was the Houston area and City of Houston, Harris County's 10-foot building lines. And I believe I've been in some communities where there were 15s. So there are even 10s or 15s on the back.
35 seems a little bit.
Generally, usually when they use that 35-foot, they're thinking of providing an area for parking. Evidently, they've got the parking issue covered on this one.
Sealy was 15 because they were looking at the HLP or the center point, which would be PC here, utility lines, but that's why you have a 10-foot. Their neighbor on this side is the PD, so they would just be closer to Chief Thornhill. But other than that, there's commercial on this side, there's commercial on this side. It's like kind of a driveway that goes to a commercial building, and then across this little drive is bar. I can't think of it. Horse. There you go. And then across, and then you go out. So really, this is a commercial area.
I'm excited to see something get done there finally.
It will be nice.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions?
So P and Z recommends approval.
Yes, sir.
No neighbors complained or
There was no
protested it.
neighbors that have complained or, basically I have nothing to comments.
I'll make a motion, we approve the variance for the 10-foot setback rather than 35 on the backside. Based on the P and Z's recommendation and those conditions.
There's a second? Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? All righty, there we go.
I'll let you know, and just in case you don't know, the 2-story building that's not in good shape was called Blanco Products. And if you've ever had a zipper bank bag in your hand, it might have well come from Blanco Products or sat on a vinyl stadium cushion.
It's right here.
Right here, like, very cool. Okay, moving on. New business item number 2. I see the landowners here. Sean, if you want to speak, you'll have the opportunity. Do you want to say something?
I don't need to say anything on the name.
Okay. Warren?
I'll go ahead and make the presentation. If you have questions of the applicant, you can ask me. So, there's basically 2 requests here. There's one simple request, which is on 1105 Elm Street, to change that from R5 to C1. I'm going to show you that.
That's the back half of that block or that lot.
Yes, sir. So, right here is 281. I know the map's not real good. R5, which is currently R5 right now, is there's a single family home. C1 is the old, a gas station that last year or so has had, some shop, I think it was called the Shops at Blanco, and they had some music and stuff that I don't know if they're doing that now, but it is kind of an area that would be commercial And then behind it is an area that right here on this side, it would be just kind of an empty lot. And then on this side, you put some tiny homes. I'll explain that in a minute. R5 on this side, and then across the street, across Elm Street is the school. And there's commercial here as well. So it's a commercial area. And so that recommendation, even though I think Planning Commission would have loved to see this whole block turn red and be C1, the recommendation on that, on simple request, is this is a C1 area, and this is 281 is to, P&Z does recommend rezoning this from R5 to C1, except for this area here. And there'll be some conditions of that in a minute. The second request on this is dual building line variance as per C1. I'm going to explain why we're here. So what had happened was, again, we'll talk about this again, commercial, 10 foot is the minimum front yard, 35 and 10. The reason why I'm not explaining what the actual building line variance is because I don't know where the front and the back is. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. So why we're here is the applicant built 3 tiny homes and an office, or 4 tiny homes, depending how you look at it, and didn't do any permits. And so I had him go through review, first of all, to make sure that there's no fire code issues. And Chief McMain reviewed it, Fire Marshal McMain reviewed it, and there are no problems. So these are where the 4 buildings are. And you probably need a little better explanation from John Cole about this. There's a trees there, which is why I put in certain places. But that actually gives you where the buildings are, and if this is granted, then what you would do is you make dual building line variance, and if it's ever moved, then they would go away. So I think that's how you would look at it. I'll go ahead and show you where. Okay. So they are basically Connex buildings that have been developed into tiny homes. We have 3 of those and then an office. And they're built here. There's wood fence. And that's basically what the project looks like. At three homes and an office, that would be considered a motel. And that would actually qualify under our zoning, under C1 zoning, to allow him to keep this product here. If you as council decide not to allow that, we probably would have to remove that in 30 days. So that's essentially the 2 different things that are being requested. One, the rezone, which is a pretty simple request, which I think should be approved, so does P&Z. And then the other idea of those building lines. So I'll go ahead and read to you the recommendation from P&Z. Again, this wasn't written before because I didn't know how P&Z would run it. Recommendation, P&Z's recommendation on the zone change from R5 to C1 is to approve it with the condition that a plat is filed within 30 days of approval. Staff's recommendation, well, now P&Z's recommendation on the dual building line is to approve it. That was a 6-1 vote. P&Z, so the packet wasn't done at the time. Following conditions must be met. Permit to pull for the existing work within 30 days of the variance approval. Subdivision plat filed within 30 days of the variance approval. Drainage plan to be submitted within a reasonable time of the variance approval, about 60 days. The certificate of occupancy will not be issued without items 1 to 3 having been met. Fire marshal goes okay with all these conditions. Do you have questions of staff for that?
I'm just curious why I keep residential on Main Street there where the rest of the block's commercial. I mean, you segmenting it out, not just doing the whole block commercial.
So the property doesn't belong to me, so I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, I own the station.
I got you.
I own that corner. If I did, it would be commercial.
Okay.
So one of the conversations that we had was about that itself, and I think her
fear is that the tax implications of mixing levels are high. And so with us looking at doing a master plan and talking about rezoning, it was, let's go ahead and do this. And then as we talk about that, maybe we can find a solution later.
Anybody else have any questions?
Now, I know you said on the, variance on the lot line, building line that we're requesting here, you said you couldn't identify what was front and back and all that.
Sure.
Is there was it a 10-foot setback that you're requesting? No, is there a specific distance?
So if you take a look, and Sean, you're gonna have to help me with this. I'm gonna go ahead and orient this correctly. Okay, so here's Elm Street. Sorry, I don't have this. Depending on how you plat it, I would actually think this would be a 45-foot building line. Or it's 20, like where it's 18.7, I think that would actually be a 35-foot building line. And I believe the rest would be 10. I think that would be the only place, unless you consider the rear Elm Street, and then it would be. So again, I guess we did it there. I mean, it just really depends on how he plats it. And he hasn't platted it yet.
And nothing is closer currently than 18'7". Is that what it says?
18'7".
Is the closest you are to the line as it is right now. Okay.
And that's actually not, and the fire marshal has no problem with that. So again, if it wasn't for our ordinance, we wouldn't have an issue. But it is what it is. So if we had a 15-foot building line, we wouldn't have an issue.
And the neighbors, nobody complained?
There was no complaints from the neighbors. This did come to light as I had a couple of people ask about whether this was fire rating issues or whatever, and that's how I came upon reviewing this. However, we did send this to the neighbors, we sent this to the school because they're a neighbor, and we did not receive any comments from the neighbors.
Because it's right across from the Sonic Hall.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we, approve the P and Z's recommendation to change the zoning. And, sounds like on the second part of that motion, if we put it in one motion, it seems that the sticking point might be that 35 feet, just like it was in the others. Again, I don't think that was intended to end up in Blanco's UDC. It was just a copy and paste from Buda many years ago. So I will approve, similar to the other, go with a 10-foot lot line.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor? All right. Unanimous. I like these unanimous meetings. Okay, moving on. You got it, Sean. Number 3, this is the updated cooperative agreement between the city of Blanco and Highland Lakes Family Crisis Center. Is this chief doing this? Or you want it? Family Crisis Center?
Yes. I didn't know that.
So annually, well, actually, the last time this was signed was about 8 years ago. And usually these are sent out. And what all it is a MOU between us, the Hill County Crisis Center or the CAC Center for family services in times of need. So it's a standard MOU. I sent it to Tim. Tim sent it back to me saying, yeah, it was good to go. Unfortunately, we have to have council approval to move forward with it.
Okay.
I will absolutely move that we approve it.
Okay. There's a second? Any questions? All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Unanimous. All righty. Number 4, this is the amend the scope and cost of sewer line project on the north side of Highway 281.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. The reason why this is coming back to you is if you look at the staff report, certificate of obligation of $1.5 million was awarded on Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. We've been working through these issues, the filter of waste, approximately 462. has been paid and it's been completed. So, the water plant is done. 4 of the 6 hydrants have been replaced. And then you can see that we're basically about halfway through the CO. One of the things that I want to talk to you a little bit about is some of those estimates came in lower than we thought. And originally we had cost estimates of $1.4 million for a $1.5 million CO. To give us some wiggle room, we needed the wiggle room. So the reason why I tell you this now is because I want you to be assured that we are still within the budget, even though this portion of the budget is more. Now, there's been some concern about things like easements, and that is going to be resolved. The engineers here, they can speak more to the technicals than I can. However, I've been talking a little bit more about the money, and so that's what we're going to talk about. The new cost estimate for the engineering, $134,000, and the construction cost of $680 for a total cost of $814,000. This is about $115,000 more than you had previously thought it was going to be. We also have a little bit extra in there just in case the town park wall ends up being more as well. So I want to show you and remember, we changed engineers, so some of this is, their scope's a little bit different than what our bureau looked at. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the cost. Their original total construction cost was $618 with 15% contingency. We knocked it down to 10%. That gives us some cost savings. And I think I've been talking to John Schmelling. I think we are okay with that. The other biggest issue with getting the total construction cost down is that actually, if we go and take a look at the engineering costs, I'll go ahead and slide down here. There's engineering costs for study and report, preliminary design. This all includes surveying, final design. The one place where we're going to save some money, which is about $39,500, is on the construction phase. There will still be $20,000 in there because our engineer, with the engineer of record, and you need to have some money for them to make sure that what's constructed is actually was actually as built is the same as what they engineered. However, the $39,500 that we knocked down of the $59,500, so that savings of almost $40,000 is because Infomark has agreed to be the boots on the ground, to do the inspections. They'll make sure that our engineer is involved, but they'll actually be the boots on the ground to do the actual work. So that's how we're able to basically cut the construction phase by about 2/3. So having said that, the reason to come to you is to talk to you a little about the exact amount that we are going over, but we are staying within the CO. I also have the engineer, John Schmelling, here. If there's any questions, if you have any questions about the specifics to this project and any timeline, anything like that. So, John, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, but the thing I would say is just to kind of put some people at ease is definitely like the first thing we'd want to get going as soon as we get approval is get the surveying done. Because like y'all said, that's super important. So that's the very first thing I'd be ordering. Secondly, with your transition from Ardura to us, our estimates aren't as, I'm going to call them, less inflated. So the scope, he didn't show you a map, but let's just say the scope we think you can get done is quite a bit more footage for the amount of money we're showing you in the estimate. Now, that being said, if you're used to high estimates and being able to assume things are going to come lower than what your engineer is telling you, can't do that with us. But what I can tell you is I did my best to estimate realistically, hoping to be a little bit on the high side. But as we do the study portion of it, though, we would identify if there are any concerns and if we need to do anything as like an alternate bid to make sure you even are more safe staying within budget. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think it's a great idea to have Infomark do kind of the boots on the ground inspection because they maintain your system and they'll be able to have the best, your best interest in mind, and they got boots on the ground. So that's it. Any other questions?
I appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, see if anybody has anybody have any questions for council? Anybody? Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Any discussion? Their motion.
Yeah, it seems like, it seems like there's not much action taken here except just approve what you're proposing.
Yes.
I will make a comment that it's not going to get any cheaper. And certainly we need surveys for any project, but to wait on a citywide survey would kick this down the road 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So I just, in my opinion, we should not wait, and I'll certainly make a motion to move forward as presented. It sounds like it's likely we're going to stay in budget anyway. So this is more of an update than a change, it seems to me.
Excellent. Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right.
Is this one here?
One more
Yeah.
thing on discussion, just to make sure we're very
Is this
clear
where we
on
have
this.
a
This
cost
is only
sharing
the sewer
with the
line going
one?
up 281 on the west side. Okay. Just making sure.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Candy? All right. Motion passes. Number 5. This is the authorization of Blanco AI system. City Secretary is giving the presentation.
I just put a little quick PowerPoint together going through, breaking down the resolution. So the motion is to consider, discuss, and take possible action on approval of the resolution 25R authorizing the Blanco AI system. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so the Blanco AI system. What we're seeking to do, the city of Blanco is seeking to improve citizen access to public information, increase operational efficiency, and enhance government transparency. The AI-driven tools, when properly governed, will support the staff, they'll reduce delays, and they'll improve citizen engagement while maintaining public trust and data integrity. The city has formed an ad hoc oversight committee, which includes the mayor pro tem, the city administrator, myself, and 3 citizens, which are Kenneth Welch. I want to say more. Kenneth Welch, Tommy Cook, and Eric Kavinsky. We've had about 3 meetings now, and we're hoping to guide implementation and ensure ethical, transparent use of the AI technologies in city operations. So, management and oversight. The city secretary shall serve as the primary administrative authority over the Blanco AI system. The AI Oversight Committee supports ongoing monitoring, policy, compliance, and ethical review. And then I just listed out the members. The city departments and committees working together shall be assigned responsibility for maintaining the accuracy and content within their designated document categories. And we've broken down in the knowledge bank, there's 12 foundational categories, which is city services and public safety, codes and ordinances, permits, fees, and payment options, city budget, comprehensive master plan, utilities and trash services, roads and public works, business and economic development, history and tourism, our events calendar, council meeting summaries, and grant and funding opportunities. And most of this stuff can be found on the website now, but we're just trying to make it easier for our citizens to find and access and help with like less phone calls and just easier usage. So during the pilot phase, users will be informed The system is in a public beta mode and being monitored for accuracy and reliability. And public access, the system will be made available to the public via the city's website. Funding and expenditures. The initial setup budget, we're planning not to exceed 2,500, and then ongoing monthly costs not to exceed 300 per month. Funding to be allocated from the general fund administration or the technology services budget. And then on the next couple of pages, I broke down ChatGPT and Zapier. Those are two of the main things we're going to use. And I just broke down different plans that they have. Like the plus plan, there's a free plan, but there's like a plus plan that's 25 per month. A team, probably the team plan is 25 per user per month. And then Zapier is like $19.99 a month. And the team plan would be $69 a month.
And that's done by use, so it wouldn't.
It's probably just the 69. So I'm thinking
Not
we'll
even,
be,
yeah.
I'm thinking we'll be well under the not to exceed cost. And then the fiscal impact is what I already covered. Not to exceed 2,500 and then not to exceed 300 per month, which I think it would be way under that.
Question, Laura, you mentioned on the, we were talking about the pilot period before. This would, have you put any numbers together on just what that pilot period, the beta period would cost?
I'm thinking it's gonna be like the 25 per user for, and then the 69 per month for the Zapier.
And as I recall, when we were talking in the last meeting, the pilot program would be a few months anyway, 3 or 4 months.
Probably like 3 months.
You think this would be a time saver for you?
I think it'll save time.
So mainly with public information requests.
Public
things like
information
that.
request, just making it easier when citizens go to the website to be able to find stuff. I get a lot of calls, like questions about the UDC, where's this, I got a call today, where's the sign ordinance? And then they call and I pull it up and I walk up through it, go to the government tab, go under mayor, go to ordinances. I think it would be easier to find stuff. Hopefully, that's our goal.
And it's more than that. I mean, you can type in, I want to put a shed in my backyard.
And
And
it
it'll
will-
say, well, you should consider this and this, your setback is this, and your this is this. Here's your form, here's how to fill it out. I mean, it's extremely smart. It's AI.
I need to submit a building permit. Here's your step. What are the steps? It can break down step 1, step 2, step 3.
And the only reason for the beta is, I mean, as is, you can ask it, and we have a demo set up, but you can ask it anything about the UDC, you can ask anything about the bond, you can ask it, and it, in fact, it wrote the draft column for the bond in about 30 seconds. It took the team over a week to verify that it was perfectly accurate. But I mean, it's a powerful tool. And you had said it should save at
It'll
least an
save
hour.
time, like, yeah, even like the building permit example, like if I were to go in and look at it, I'd have to search here, search there, pull from, and where you can just ask it and it'll go and pull it all together.
And as far as errors, I found it's less than human. I mean,
Yeah.
we did a whole big project and we put a lot into it, that the person at the front desk at the time was adamant, was fined, rezoned, all that stuff. And we put a whole lot into it, and we found out later that, oh no, we have to get a special use permit.
Yeah.
So that could have been catastrophic. And that was human error. So nothing's perfect, but this is, pretty cool.
Yes.
All right. Yes, sir.
In beta, is this gonna be public facing or?
So there's a beta phase for the committee and for, interested parties to check it out, and that's the heavy lifting. That's like, I used 800 gallons of water, which should my bill be? And there's a little bit that needs to be, because it's not just pulling from the rate ordinance at that point. There's other variables. But once that's set up and we debug it as a committee or as a team, then yeah, there'll be a public beta phase and it'll be clearly sandboxed.
For the beta phase, is that going to require the 2,500 setup?
No, that's very outside, and that's down the road. I mean, that's if you want it to talk to you like a person, It shouldn't,
Annualized also.
Yeah.
Not to exceed annual.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's,
beta-
that's just a one-time setup.
there's already a demo set up that, I mean, I'm paying out of pocket a little bit each month, but no, it doesn't need to be that much for a
What's a
beta
good
phase.
catch for the one-time setup? What is the one?
Yeah, what,
Well, assuming we're gonna need to get a Fiverr or somebody to do a little bit of coding to get the,
That's not, but it showed a $2,500
That- yeah.
one-time setup.
yeah, and I don't anticipate being that much, but that was just a placeholder to be safe. And that's if the city wanted to be more aggressive, expansive with it.
but so would we need that to get to start the beta?
Need a little bit.
phase?
Yeah. Need a little bit.
I think it would be a good tool for our citizens. I'm a little hesitant if we pay 2,500 and then for whatever reason it doesn't work out, but I would be in favor of moving forward with the beta phase with less.
Yeah, I mean,
Smaller
we can just
cap
direct that
numbers
we'll
and then-
spend as little as possible for the beta phase. We can direct staff that way. There's, I don't see it. It'd be very hard to spend $2,500. I mean, you'd have to work real hard to find a reason to do that for beta.
I can see it being wonderful, but I would really like to see an overall policy before we jump into it. I mean, it may require, a workshop. So,
Right now, it just, I mean, if you get on homedepot.com and click the help button and you're chatting with somebody, you're chatting with AI. I mean, that's all we're talking about is a help button on the website at this point. There's no training needed for that. So, but yeah, I mean, before we go beyond that, I think it's a powerful tool and training for the committee use and things like that. But you already use it every day and you don't know it. That's the idea, is to make it seamless and easy.
Can I make a recommendation? Because I did this with some other projects. Reach out to your local college. A lot of programs at TKI. So that open such, and they'll all they have students that are just
Oh, excellent.
want to work and don't have to pay them. They're just interns that want to do it. It might be worth reaching out.
I mean,
Texas State or something.
so Laura, for the way this is spec'd out is to put all the data in a Google Drive folder. That's what the Zapier is for. It goes back and forth and pulls it from there instead of being internal into ChatGPT. And that way you can have it read only from the public. Anybody can get it. There's full transparency. You can see what it's coded. And that's what the setup comes in. But we can do a beta without that at all. We can do a beta for the, $19 a month kind of thing. If we just want to test the data, make sure it all works. And then after the beta, we can move. So I mean, I think we could do a internal beta for $100, a couple $100. Yeah.
why don't we do that first?
Yeah.
And test it internally.
We're already doing that. I mean, we've already got that going. Not officially in the city. It's on my own account, but it's the same thing. So I would just say we do this and then we just direct Lori, who's in charge of it, to just, hey, don't spend it up front. Just be tight with it.
Does that make sense?
So I guess there's a couple of things I want to just reach out and try to explain to council. From the administration standpoint, we try to do what council asks for, but it has to be really clear what you're asking for. I really believe that we need a policy before we really go much further than just an internal, I don't know if I'm even really in favor of having anybody be able to test it from the outside until we have policy in place. You're talking about a very powerful tool that, and I also want to make sure that we're keeping the things safe that we need to. I really believe a policy should be in place first. Maybe we'll do that May or June, but my thought is a policy in place, then you start looking at building the program. That's my point.
Could you keep working on the internal data while you say you want to see a draft policy within 2 months?
Before the public beta.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So just amend it to say before public beta, we have a policy.
That comes back here.
Okay, that's a good amendment.
Yeah, I mean,
I would suggest that because, you don't want to make a lot of mistakes in the outward looking part of this. Once it gets rolling, those things are powerful beasts. And it's amazing what they can do.
So the motion with an amendment that we don't go on the public beta until there's a more detailed policy.
And a spending cap of
$200 or $300.
300.
300 for the public, for the private beta. Okay.
So start with an internal beta program.
I mean,
Not
just,
to
just,
exceed
just, ta- yeah,
300.
Do
just,
this.
just table the
No,
resolution.
but no, we need the resolutions to do the testing. But the
Do
amendment,
we?
yeah, the amendment would be that $300 and don't go public until there's a policy.
And,
Which comes back.
Yeah, to the council. Okay.
and is it also, is it in the resolution that, like, to start with publicly available documents?
It's all
Is that
publicly
correct?
available. Everything that we've got in there is public data.
And that's, are there plans to like,
Not anytime soon. Now, but down the road,
so like, let's also like the private beta should only include public
it's
information.
it's all public
The
information.
12, yeah, the 12 categories will all, it's all stuff that's already public information.
Okay.
So the discussion is,
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, here's.
I would just make a comment. I think that's a good plan. And what my use of this in business is always tied to a policy. And I've mentioned this in the committee meetings that it's just, it's important to have human eyes on here. I think many of us have used this before, and if you just spit it out, it says flowery language. It's some, who the heck wrote this? So we need to have,
Exactly.
you got dialogue
I've done
personality.
we need to make sure there's a staff
I've done
oversight
that.
and management oversight.
Yeah.
Yes, this represents the city.
Yeah,
properly.
some sort
We've
of
got to do that
policy.
in our policy.
And so that's why
Okay, so
I would
So we
like to
got
do a
some time to
policy
make this
prior to
policy
the
before it's
resolution,
public.
unless we can
you make a
come back
motion on the resolution with the 2 minutes.
and amend the resolution.
Maybe just authorize continuation of the internal data and the cost not to exceed 300 with, and simultaneous development of the policy to come back to you within whatever timeline you want. For update on the development of the data and approval of the policy. So you're not stopping work on the internal work, they're already doing. It's just not gonna go outward
It's not
looking.
gonna go public until the
Yeah, that's
policy
why I
is
asked,
approved by
it's outward
council.
looking, I wouldn't go, outward looking yet until you do have. the-
Yeah, I will so move that we
Yeah.
continue work on this beta, not to exceed $300 and come back to the council with a policy not to exceed 90 days, hopefully sooner than.
So in section 7, we're just gonna cut out the 2,500. Cut
Yeah,
out that
we're gonna
first
stay
one.
in the beta, we're gonna stay in the beta stage and limit it to a $300 expenditure.
So you got the amendments there?
Mhm.
So that's the motion on the resolution. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? All right, opposed? Abstain? Candy, where are you registered? You didn't raise your hand.
I'm I'll abstain.
All righty, all righty. Thank you very much. Moving on. Number 6, GLO grant, administration and management's comprehensive master plan and other city business.
Thank you, Mayor, council. Spoken a lot about this, but I kind of want to just give you a little bit of background on this update. This is a $300,000 grant, and the reason about a month ago got granted to us. I'm going to commend the Mayor Pro Tem for really looking at the pricing and making sure that we're getting everything that we need that we can out of this. So originally, our grant writer looked at this and well, this would be a $300,000 grant. And there's some portions of this that would be the comp plan, but then there's also some other review, some other documents. And when we looked at this a little further, you know, when we started talking to the GLO about it, was, hey, the $300,000 in a smaller community that we have, we're hoping to try to get some other things here, like it's the visioning. We have a sub-consultant that could do some visioning for us. We'd also like to, with this grant money, because this is a resilient community without plans, which include comp plan, include other plans. So we're looking at both the comp plan, some visioning work, and the rewriting, retooling of the BCC. So if you look at the third page that I provided to you, there's a breakdown of the cost of this. And then additionally, council member had said, we really need to help, Streetscape, and try to get $20,000 so that we make sure that the architect, Main Street architect, Sue Ann Pemberton, is also paid. So what we're looking at is the breakout of a $300,000 grant, $34,000 lengthy, community management administrative oversight. That is what the GLO says it is. Approximately $166,000 for comprehensive plan that includes materials, 3 public meetings, include all statutory requirements that the GLO requires, along with the work product associated with the creation and approval of the new comprehensive plan. And the reason why I'm bringing this to you is I want to talk about the 2 sub-consultants that we'd like your approval on. One of them is not to exceed $40,000 to Elizabeth Fariso, EDS Development. I think you've met her a few times. She's done visioning for the Pearl. She's done a lot of different work in this area. Met her a few times, and if she would help guide the public engagement for our comp plan and be a really good tool for people to understand the vision of what we're looking at doing. And then the Brandon Mullane is a local planner that's worked at different places. Leon Valley, don't judge him on Leon Valley, but Leon Valley, Verde, there's a lot of different places. He's now a consultant. We look at an hourly charge not to exceed the $40,000, but that would be actually to look at the UDC rewrite. He'd be working with the P&Z chair and staff. And then the other breakout is $20,000 to make sure that architect has really been working very hard for our streetscape does get reimbursed. And so we would look at $100,000 for sub-consultants, but really the 2 sub-consultants and then just the $20,000 for the streetscape plan. And then the 2 that I just talked about, $34,000 for length for administrative, the $166 for the comprehensive plan. So I think what's happened here is I think staff's really worked hard with Mayor Pro Tem to try to make sure we get the most out of this $300,000 grant that we can. That is the recommendation that you review the information before I send this approval form to Langford Community Management, that you just review this and make sure that you're okay with what we're getting for the citizens.
One clarifying comment, if I may. All this goes through Langford. So they would, and we had a good meeting, Warren and I had a good meeting with the GLO, and they made it very clear that Blanco is able to define our own plan and how we want to use this grant money. We just don't have to listen to Langford with a blank check.
Yeah.
In addition, Langford also very cooperative with the meeting that Warren and I had recently, and they would be hiring out some of these same sub-consultants, but that either to someone else, but the fact that these people are already been engaged with some of our citizens and our staff, it's money they'd be spending anyway. So the city of Blanco is not subcontracting directly. They're all, everybody on this list, except for the downtown streetscape piece, will be going through the grant writer, administrator, and prime contractor for this project.
I'd also like to mention that just as an administrative issue, on Monday, we're going to be meeting with the GLO through Zoom. But then we're going to have a larger meeting with the stakeholders, council they want to meet with GLO, to meet with Langford Community Management. So I'll send you that invite if you want to be involved in that kickoff process. It'll probably happen in a week or 2. But I do want to let you know this is kind of what we've been kind of working on, and Langford do all of these things and to help create several projects. Okay.
One more comment.
So I would like a motion.
I think we've just been watching grass grow on this for a little over a year, and it's nice to really be able to get to work. And we've worked, the city has worked with Langford for a couple of decades now on that. And so they're not new to this game.
Any more questions, comments,
Good job.
motions?
Do we
We didn't make a motion.
move to give Bobby a hand? Body was so hard.
But it hasn't passed yet. You didn't pass the motion first.
I move we accept it.
All right, is there a second?
I'll say.
All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Now you can clap. All righty. Number 7, this is city committees or commissions relating to development of approval of committee and commission agendas and so on. And this was brought by Councilmember Moses.
Yes, may I establish, do I have the floor, Mr. Mayor?
All yours.
All right, thank you. There's a lot here, so I did that to make sure everybody understands. Please don't interrupt me until I get closer to the end with questions and remarks. But, so I can see here, I have caused some flare-ups and ruffles in the feathers of some, and this is why I always wish we could put a paragraph or a page of explanation in each item of the agenda, but that's just not possible. But I know this has been explained as almost maybe a hostile takeover of streetscape committee and all various committees of the city, but it's not. I brought this item forward because I believe all of us here have served on some city committees, other than maybe the mayor. I know you've served on.
This is a
lots of
committee.
committees, But, well, okay, now you have. But I don't know that you've had to write the agenda, but you
No.
definitely had to take part in the
Yeah.
process of crafting it. That is one of the main reasons I brought this forward, serving on committees myself before. There's always issues as you're coming into the committees, especially with new members and new chair positions taking over at times. Exactly what are your duties? How do you do your duties? I want to try to establish something that is cross-committee, has to do with the chair positions, some of what's expected from you. It's, as you come into these committees, it's hard to go find the information of what is expected from you. One of the things I would like to establish, my opinion, and these are all my opinions in writing, that's all it is. I believe the chair position on each committee should be responsible for crafting the agendas. I think they're in the best position for that. I think, with the exception of one thing Mr. Courier said before, if somebody comes into the Historic Preservation Commission and they're looking for a COA, they're not supposed to have any communication with the commission prior to having the hearing on that. And so I can understand either the HPO or the city administrator or somebody that is serving in the HPO capacity would handle it at that point. But I think even with the Historic Preservation Commission, I believe we need to establish that the chairperson of each committee is responsible for crafting the agenda. And when I say that, I mean crafting the entire agenda and preparing it to where it is ready to post and bringing it to Lori. The reason I bring this forward, Lori has not complained about this. She never does. She just takes the extra work people pile on her and smiles and says, I'll do it. In the past and even in the present, there has been various people that come to her and pile a lot of extra work upon her to have these agendas crafted, when she shouldn't have to do that. That's something I want to establish moving forward. The other thing, along with the Streetscape Commission, that I didn't know how to attack multiple issues with one resolution, and that may not be the proper way of doing it, but that's the way we did it for now. And so with the Streetscape Committee, one of the things I wanted to bring forward is in 2020, the Streetscape Committee made some changes, and they went from having 10 members and 2 historical preservation commissioners down to 1 historical preservation commissioner. And I believe is it 5 total members now on the Streetscape Committee?
It's 7 now.
7 now, okay. So obviously that was during COVID times. We were having a hard time filling committees and stuff like that. And business had to go on and they could not put together proper quorums and stuff with that many committee members. It takes too many to come together as a quorum to move forward when you can't get people to show up because of fear of COVID and stuff anyway. But I think that we're at a point now that the Historic Commission has been bolstered and it's growing in strength and productivity, that because the streetscape program has to do specifically with the historic district. That's it. I think that the Historic Preservation Commission should be absolutely incrementally involved in it, and I think that it should have 2 commissioners involved in it again. When I was on the Historic Preservation Commission, it's when I started digging deeply into some of these various resolutions and things that have changed through time. It was my understanding that the chairperson of the Historic Preservation Commission got to choose the commissioner that was represented on the Streetscape Committee. They could choose any one of the commissioners, including themselves, for that. They get to designate that authority. That was one thing I would like to establish again, or establish that shouldn't be a president. One of the two. I think that was part of my big thoughts there on that is I think there's some issues that are creating problems and have created problems in the past. It's hurting our productivity and the overall enjoyment for the people that are involved in the committees and organizations that we're asking them to be involved in. I brought it forward as an action item because, as always, I'm always happy to attack something head on and deal with it right now. My recommendation would not be to perform action on it tonight. I still think that I would like to present this to every chair of every committee to get their input, because there may be a whole bunch of other issues that are not being dealt with because I haven't thought of them or they just aren't on here. I'd like to establish some protocols, simple things like that. Who's responsible for crafting the agenda? Let's get it plain, in writing, unified for all these committees and commissions. That way it's understandable. I don't think it's such a big issue that we need to have an action item tonight on it, unless everyone else feels that it's something I need to deal with. I would like to see it put on the agenda for next regular city council meeting. Maybe the next meeting's not the right one after sitting in, new city council. Maybe we wait one more meeting after that, whoever they be, give them some time to acclimate. But I'd like to see it on one of the next city council, and I'd like to see it workshopped. I'd like to see it spoken about at the workshop after all of the chair people of the other committees and commissions have a chance to provide their input on it if they have it. That's
I was gonna
my
say
goal on it.
workshop between those committees too.
I'm open to discussion on that.
I mean,
I think that we should just take what's here and essentially just what we're trying to accomplish, what I'm trying to accomplish, and give it to the committees as is. Let them go through it, provide input. Maybe their input is they don't like it at all, or whatever their input is, we accept that, and then we workshop it as a council once they have had time to provide
Sounds
their
reasonable.
input. And at that time, we decide whether or not it's items that are pressing enough to deal with and provide an ordinance over, or maybe by then, maybe the issues resolve themselves through other channels and it's not necessary. But I do think that there are items that definitely needed to be brought up. They need to be discussed and addressed. But my ideas aren't necessarily the only ideas out there, and I sure would like to hear others on it before any type of action is taken.
Can I say something? Number 4.11 of the UDC is our historic preservation ordinance, and you're fooling with the ordinance. So you'll be trying to change the ordinance. You have to remember that.
What exactly in that ordinance are we changing?
Print it out here.
What in the ordinance are we asking to
Well,
change?
I don't know. I have to look at it.
Because the only thing, that's exactly right. We're not changing anything in the ordinance. The only thing we're looking to establish is that the HPO is no longer responsible for writing the agenda. And we would like to, now, and the other thing I'd like to add on to the streetscape committee. The other reason I'm trying to add a second commissioner is not to forcefully take the committee over, because with recent developments, even phone calls that we have today, the workload is going to increase on streetscape committee very soon, because we did get good word from TxDOT on their cooperation to four-way stop. So I understand if who is your liaison at the moment?
Right now, you. But
Okay.
you've been gone for, this is your second
I
time
know,
back.
but
Yeah.
when I get calls, I tell you that the committee is overwhelmed and we need some extra help. That's all I'm trying to do. That's my recommendation. I think that the committee will move forward a lot better if we have a little bit of additional help.
You're the liaison, and you can take it to them. It's your suggestion.
And that's the
Also,
only.
you have our suggestion too.
Exactly. And but I'm just letting you know that that's all I'm trying to do, is trying to get more help, because I think that you may not understand the developments that are coming yet, because we haven't had a chance to talk about it. But
I've been in the building business before.
I know, but we're getting ready to kick that thing and start. And we need some more help. And that's all I'm trying to do.
Thank goodness.
Okay.
But we need to look at what a good change in here.
But
For the historic commission, is what I'm saying.
if anybody has anything to add to that, I sure am all with you. No? Okay, so my recommendation would be to table this item until further. I motion to table it till,
It shall be
Later
so,
meetings.
it's so tabled.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
but I would like to make sure that this is workshopped. This is workshopped. And I don't know that we'll be able to accomplish that on our next workshop. Because it's got to go through the committees first.
Real good. Let it be done. Thank you. Moving on. Number 8, possible approval of revisions to 120-day stay of demolition ordinance.
So Mayor, and I'll explain what we requested, and then I'll kind of take the background. DMZ actually moved this from their ordinance, from their agenda yesterday, and did not take action. The reason for it is because this is something the HBO has stored and brought to DMZ. And it is a discussion within when we do demolitions, inside, the historic district, they actually have to have approval with you, this certificate of appropriateness, but for sure an approval through the historic commission. However, this stay of demolition ordinance was actually designed for anything in the city that, and there's an issue with actual definition, because anything that's possibly historic, they want to do 120-day stay so they can review it. Now, if I did something, a demolition request usually comes to my office. If there is something that is on the historic register or it's considered a historic building, we will do a stay. We'll review that. But to make someone wait 120 days for a regular demolition because the building was built in 1975, we felt was a lot. And with the HPO not being at this last meeting, it's removed. So a recommendation, PZ's recommendation is just to table that.
Can I clarify one thing real quick? So when they brought it to us, it was 120-day minimum stay, with no maximum involved. So if they came in and they looked at it and said, this might be historical, our request was tell us a maximum. You want to say 120 to minimum, 120 to maximum, we got that conversation. But with no maximum, we felt like there's a little bit of a breach on property rights.
A little bit, yeah. Okay, any more conversation, discussion? We'll table it. Okay, thank you. Moving on, old business number 1. This is the sprinkler supply line at the Hotel Henry.
So I apologize, Mayor and Council. The reason why it's back to you is what really clear to me what we need to do. And sometimes when the issues are very technical, I like to bring in the people that actually do the work and understand it. So why don't you explain what the process would be? Because I think what we're asking for capital council is they want us to pay for it, this person to pay for it, or if there's some combination of cost share. But you want to explain the process.
So typical practice of cities, anytime a fire line's installed, is the contractor or the property owner that installs the fire line, installs the valve, and taps the line for the fire line. In this case, there was no valve installed on the city side, and there's no way to kill that water line without basically killing the whole city, because that's part of the line that has no working valves. That being said, an Insta valve can be put in on this, but it's $10,000 to install an Insta valve. And my suggestion to Warren was that, and I don't know how to put this delicately, it's not the city's problem that a valve was not installed by the people at that time when it was done. But I understand that there are policies and other things in place, and it's not really clear from what I can tell in some of the city's ordinances and taps and things, who is responsible. So at that point, it was left up to Warren and the council to make the decision on how to proceed. And I'm here if y'all have any questions.
So their fire sprinkler line, does it go to their meter box?
So their fire sprinkler line goes to a valve on their side inside the building. Well, typically a valve is installed directly off the main. Well, the valve inside the building is leaking and they need to turn the water off to be able to replace those seals in their valve. But right now, there's no way to kill it without shutting the entire town off, which we're not going to do for one customer to change out the packing. So the only other option is to put in an Insta valve, which would cost $10,000. Basically,
$800.
And that's less than we originally had talked about. I mean, we thought it could be a lot more than that.
Yeah, and that price that I gave Warren was based off of another project that we're doing with the fire hydrants. So that estimate's going to be right around that 10,000. It's the same size material, same size pipe, same material, et cetera.
Okay, so sorry, I'm just having trouble picturing it. So they have a meter box.
Okay,
They do
so
not have a meter box. It's a 6-inch line that comes off the
So
city.
the fire sprinklers suppression systems don't get metered. That's just
No,
like free water.
Correct.
Okay.
yeah, so we dug it up. There's the city main line that feeds that whole part of town, and there's a T, and there's a 6-inch line that comes off, and it goes straight to the Hotel Henry. It comes up to their fire system. So that's like the whole city water supply is sitting there. They have a valve, and I'm told those can go catastrophic, but it's been there a long time, and it's leaking pretty bad. If that goes catastrophic, the entire city's water supply will flush right through the brand new remodeled Hotel Henry, but no way to shut it off.
So this is a normal practice. If someone builds a new fire sprinkler, they don't get a meter box on it?
No, they're typically fire suppression systems do not have meters on them.
Okay.
Because the city be using a fire hydrant to put it out anyway.
So
There's
so
no
if
meter on
something
a fire
was
hydrant.
built today, there would be a separate line off the city main with a valve on it.
Correct.
Okay.
And here's my other concern with doing an Insta valve on this, if the city decides to pay for it. The line is actually a very thin wall sewer pipe that they use to run the water line to the thing. So if they choose to do an Insta valve, there's a very good possibility this line is going to crack. And if the city takes on the responsibility of installing this valve, now there could be other ramifications from that.
So let me ask you something. Because that's the main line. Why don't we put valves on the main line, maybe one on each side or one further down? That way we can actually benefit the city, shut off that side of town and isolate them. If
and that's a discussion we can have if the city would like to do that. We could discuss putting a, couple of valves in, or, something else I'll mention to Warren is if we can get this bond passed, put some critical valves in along the system, and that would be one of them, because we definitely need some working valves on our main. If we can't find enough money to replace it, at least let's have some valves that work.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. So if you put it on the line going to the property from the city is thin wall type stuff. City's line is not, is that?
It's a ductile iron pipe.
So it's not quite as fragile or equally fragile. Okay.
That line that's there, that's on the city side, has been in there since the forties.
Okay. And the line going to the property's been there probably since the
The
fifties.
70s, I think.
Yeah, late seventies, early eighties, I believe.
How did they put that in? There's,
I'm assuming they had working valves back there.
This is my other question.
Yeah, because it flooded once before after my mother moved out there and moved over to Lido. And it wasn't 2 months after she moved out of there that everything got wet.
Yeah,
So
where I'm
it's
going
happened
with
before.
this is the fact that the city's system is a little bit substandard in that we don't have any valves to control our system, and that we have that leak basically draining the whole town. Something happens there, we're gonna drain the whole town. I'm all for cost sharing if it's fair, but if we've got a system that's really not workable, I'm concerned burdening the business owner with this. It's just a black eye for Blanco that we just are not.
And that's y'all's decision to make, of course. I was just asked to provide what we're facing
Now,
now.
would an InstaValve have solved, had we had that near the water tank with this main that ruptured over here? Can we save the water in the water tank without draining the town every time we get a
So
leak?
we didn't drain the tank, we drained the water system. The tank valves were shut off.
Oh, there is a valve. Yeah, you weren't
For
here
the
on that
tanks,
meeting.
yeah, for the
We were
tanks.
here last time wondering as a council,
Yeah.
can we even shut
I
off?
think you have a combined total of about 8 million gallons in the system.
Wow.
Without the tanks.
Okay, so that we can shut off the tank, because that was a concern we had a month or two ago that,
Because you have 21 miles of water line, and I estimated it's about 8 million gallons of storage.
wow.
Based on
well,
the size.
we need valves around the town anyway. I'm not opposed to, however, just in concept to have the business owner share some of the burden, as long as it's not just throwing a bad water system on as his problem and not ours. So I would just object to that. Well, it's his problem, not ours. Well, no, really,
And if they're willing to do cost sharing, then maybe you could.
He wasn't willing at the time. He wanted just to go to council. So the reason why I wanted to talk to them, I wasn't real clear what they wanted before, but I'm looking for guidance now, whether that's going back to the owner or just saying we're paying for it, or whatever it is. They just need a definitive guidance.
I think the biggest takeaway I got from it last time was the council was more involved in trying to figure out if there was another valve system to put in, as far as was there a better combo on whether we put 2 valves in, as long as we're gonna have to shut the system down and drain some water out. Are we better off putting a couple valves in and shutting off that whole
And if we could.
main
schedule-
right there? Well, because we're gonna have to shut it down.
Right.
Right.
The engineers have anything to say about it? You familiar with this at all?
Not super familiar, but if I'm chiming in, I'd say it'd be nice to get some Insta valves on your main system.
Yeah.
Even if you have to put 2 or 3 in.
Yeah, and that's.
We had valves, they just were never exercised, and now they don't work.
Now they don't work. So, and I think that was the main takeaway I got from the council last time, is we were looking to see if there was better options. It was,
Cause if we put an InstaValve on there and then it busts their pipe, then we're gonna be liable for that.
No, I would,
putting it on our pipes, not his.
yeah, but if we do it on, what I would do is say, we'll do this on your pipe, but if the pipe breaks, you gotta replace your pipe. You know,
So
That'd be the cost share.
I had a quote on this valve because we have one at the water plant that doesn't work.
Yeah.
For the same pipe size and material, it runs about 16 to 18,000.
oh, for the ductile steel,
Right. Because it's a bigger pipe and the materials more than different.
with potential cost savings from the CO, is that something that CO would be able to cover eventually?
Yes. Yes, sir.
I think we need to get, I'm afraid that thing going catastrophic and him suing the city because he's requested a shut off.
I'll get some prices together for you.
I'm in favor of the valve.
And talk to them.
Yeah, especially if we put it on the, it's not guaranteed to break. So if it breaks, he's got to.
Yeah.
Maybe his risk.
Yeah. So we'll make a motion. If I want to make a motion,
I'm not sure there's much to vote on it.
Take a look at
Dave's
the
gonna get some prices.
Yeah.
okay.
And get back with him.
Yes, we will. We'll get back with.
Grady.
Or we do the valve and he puts a new pipe in that we put the valve on.
Now, and out of respect to them, is that an issue that's gonna be able to wait another 30 days? I mean,
Well, it's been going over a year now. We've been trying to figure this out with them, so.
It's leaking a lot.
just making sure.
It leaks a lot, yeah.
I just make.
His concern is going catastrophic. And we can wake up one morning and all our water is gone. And it's all down through the Henry house and there's no valve to be able to shut off to fill our water system back up. It would be stage 6. It would be a couple of days if that goes catastrophic, I would think.
So you're having to look up prices on possibly putting valves on our end of the water lines.
We'll get a price for 2 strategic locations to where maybe we can utilize it more than just that one location.
But you can bracket him so they can do their work.
Right.
Okay. I think that's a win.
So it's beneficial to the community as much as anything.
So, do you think you could do?
Give me till the end of next week. Contractors take a little while to get back.
That's the only thing I was thinking of is if we need to plan on
I'll reach out.
getting onto a special meeting.
Yeah, I would go for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much. Old business number 2. This is administration of city bond election.
One thing I can report is I know we're talking about doing another workshop on the 17th.
Okay.
Got a group of folks working on that.
There's been some misinformation floating around. Would you like to make a clarifying statement for?
Well, I don't want to address misinformation or not. I think it's important to clarify the following point. Any flyers that are being used currently have been now vetted thoroughly by election council. All that is resolved. And there were some questions about that in the past. That's number 1. Number 2, going back to what you all can and can't do. You can't sit on the dais today in your official capacity and argue today in your official capacity for or against the bond. However, you can walk out on the street on the porch here individually, still as mayor, still as council person, and argue for or against the bond as you see fit. That's the law, okay? When you're acting in your official capacity, now Warren, Lori, as paid employees, can't do that at all. They can't argue for or against the bond. But you have that street, you're volunteers, and you have that free speech right, as does every other volunteer official of these committees and so forth and so on. I think there's been some confusion about that capacity issue. And granted, if you're talking while you're sitting in the building, which is city property, there's more sensitivity about, the better part of Valerie is to not advocate for or against. And I use the word for or against carefully because all of you are entitled to be against it or for it, as are the citizens. The city's job, and that's going to be the focus henceforth with this workshop on the 17th. We'll be right down the line, educational, pros, cons. Here's what, here's the facts. Here's the arguments for, here's arguments against, carefully laid out so that's all understood. More to come on that location, and I hope that helps.
Yep, very good.
That helps.
If I ask a question on that, of course, that would extend to any candidates running for office.
Absolutely.
But Well, there's, as far, and I don't mind discussing misinformation. There has been some misinformation that people are breaking the law and potentially could get sued for allowing people to talk about the bond outside of city property at candidate forums. And two different candidate forums, one was shut down completely. And another one, there were no questions allowed for the bond because it would be illegal. They've been told that it would be illegal for any citizen to ask a candidate if they, how they felt about the bond. So there seems like a concerted effort to spread enough disinformation that people are afraid to talk about this, and which makes it difficult for the city to educate anyone about it. And that's just propaganda BS, frankly, and it's going on in our small community, and it's saddening to me.
Well, the city's not part of that. Other individuals doing what they're gonna do. You know, that's.
Well, we get the word out that it's not illegal to talk about a bond issue.
It's encouraged to talk about the bond issue.
Well, certainly, the school is not worried about talking about it.
Get educated, and that's all.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah.
No. Okay. All right, we're closing the open session, moving on to executive session at 7:56 PM.